Just who are these Jesuits you keep jabbering about?
Well, I've been doing some research. Evidently, they were founded back in the 1500s by a French man named Ignatius. He claimed that he had, these visions from God.
No kidding.
Yeah, they were the original secret society, as well as the world's most dangerous cult.
Jesuits, coming. Yeah. Jesus gang.
One of the, I looked up a few different Jesuit conspiracies, and one of them was by an ex-Jesuit, and he wrote this in 1612, and it had to do with, he thought the Jesuits were spending a little too much time with women one-on-one.
Aha.
Oh, yeah. Big problem.
Dude, I do not be doing that in this episode. I'm not editing this episode. There'll be in burps the whole time. Do not.
I have to censor that now.
Make it really loud. Make it like 20 decibels loud. Get way worse than if there was a burp in there.
Yeah, that was a big plot point in this movie, right?
Quite a big plot point.
Woo!
Quite a big plot point.
What a flick. How'd you find this?
Oh, yeah. I need to say this up front. Shout out to Letterboxd user Wormy, who started following me this past week. I don't know how you found me, other than I watch other very low budget movies that are unique visions. And one of the last 4 movies Wormy had seen was this movie. So
wow. Shout out to Wormy. Dude, Wormy followed me as well. But I noticed that Wormy liked one of my reviews of a Wright family film.
Maybe it's a Wright family member.
Well, either that or, one of the growing number of the Fraternal Order of Wright family fans who are Clerks regular and headquartered in Rome. Wormy's clearly a person of culture if they like the Wright
Wormy.
family and Elijah's Secret.
Thank you, Wormy.
Shall we get into it, boys?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Boys Bible Study, a Fraternal Order of Clerics Regular for Pontifical Rights, headquartered in Los Angeles, California. My name is Ash. I'm here with
Scott.
And subject 2, Julian.
This is a new level, I think. Elijah's Secrets.
Yeah.
This is a really marvelous new introduction to the canon. I don't know how we found ourselves here. I mean, I do, but I feel very blessed that we finally turned over the rock of this subgenre of Christian content, because it is a whole new world to explore for real.
I mean, I feel like I haven't seen a movie made with sincerity that has been quite like this.
No, truly not. There's so many elements that combine to make it like such a unique experience.
Yeah, it felt like, and I don't want to I don't use this term lightly, but it truly felt like watching like an Adult Swim infomercial.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the like stock photo or the stock footage and the hacking scenes and the magic. We'll get into all of it.
We'll get into all of it. Yeah, I mean, this is it's funny.
I felt like I was having a fever dream watching this.
It's funny because what I'm about to say is like maybe one of the least consequential parts of the movie, but it also still like I remember it vividly. There's one moment when it plays these 3 following sections of stock photo in order. 1 is clouds moving very fast in the sky. 2, ravens sitting on gravestones in a graveyard. 3, a record player. And there's absolutely no plot-based reason why any of these things are shown. They're like ambiance creating clips that are like emotion collages. That was very, very fascinating. And that's not even at all why we're here with this discussion today. There's so many more treasures to unearth when watching this film. Julian has the hiccups and cannot communicate right now. He keeps trying to say stuff, opening his mouth, and then
told me not to burp.
I did tell you not to burp.
Here's
Well, I
what you
appreciate
do.
your respect
You
for
hold
my house
you
rules.
hold your breath. You take a huge gulp of air. Hold your breath. Stretch your arms above your head as high as you can go, and just try not to hiccup with your breath fully inhaled.
Okay.
That's what I do. And you just hold your breath as long as you can, so you got to let it out.
Well, let's see. A normal podcast is about an hour long, so we have like 50 minutes to go. So just sort of hold it there. Yes. We have a very, very special movie to tell you all about today. This is one that is completely brand new to us, with directors, cast, story, setting, everything new for us. After 3+ years of doing this show, we're still finding something new. This is Elijah's Secrets.
It's like reading the Bible.
It
Read
is.
every day, and you'll still find something new.
Absolutely, my friends.
It's true.
And I think we got to the weird part of the Bible.
Yeah, we're on weird
Weird Bible.
Yeah, Saint Drill.
Weird Bible.
And the Apostle Horse ebooks.
We're at the crazy Bible, as what's his name would say, as Ray Comfort would say. We got
Definitely at the crazy Bible. And 2 more brothers, too. Another duo of brothers.
And what a duo.
What
Those
a
two.
duo.
Harmberg Brothers Film Group.
The Harmberg brothers. So first of all, I just want to say, do not think this one is on IMDb.
Wow.
I cannot find it on
That's
a cursory
rare.
search. It is on Letterboxd, right?
Yes.
So
Well, somebody had to add that. I guess you could add it to IMDb. It's just so rare to find. It feels like every movie or short or whatever by all these like Christian filmmakers makes it onto IMDb.
Yes.
Some of them before they even get made.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think there's an obvious reason for that. There's a Jesuit who works for Amazon, a Jesuit priest that's pretending to be an engineer for Amazon.
Yeah.
This is not available on IMDb that I can see. According to Letterboxd, it is a 2016 film, which I believe I didn't really pay close attention to the credits, but that sounds about right. Looks about right. Elijah's Secret. Casey Harmberg. Now, I didn't even think about this until I watched the credits, but you two realized that the brothers were Elijah and Chris Holmes, right?
I had a feeling, yeah, but there is a very strange genetic discrepancy between these two.
Are they even brothers? Are they father and son?
It says brothers on
You're right, it
the
does.
website, but there's a huge age difference, a huge
At least
body
a 10-year
type
age
difference.
Yes.
One guy looks like one guy is a term I thought of while I was watching it. This movie felt very Huckabee core, and I think it's
Ooh.
mostly just because of one of the main characters, Elijah, is looks like somebody who had come from the Huckabee extended universe.
Yes. Yeah, he does have a bit of a Huckabee look to him. Whereas the other brother, I believe Wayne was Elijah, and Casey, even their names.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
if you had to identify without knowing the brothers, if you had to look at both of them and say which one was Wayne and which one was Casey, of course Wayne is the one who looks like Mike Huckabee's stunt double, and Casey's the one who's like an otter veteran of the United States military. It just makes total sense. I literally was like, are they brothers? Are they father and son? But you're right. It says brothers. It says brothers. So they must be. But yeah, there might genuinely be like a 15-year age difference on them. If they're the same age, I deeply apologize, because one of them was definitely giving older vibes than the other.
Yeah, I would go even farther than 15. But a lot of that is
I'm trying to be
style
like
of
generous
dress
here.
and-
Yes.
yeah,
Well, that's the thing. It's
way
not
of
just
talking.
It's not just their body types, or even just like their faces or anything. It's also I mean, Wayne Harmberg was dressed like he had the cheap seats
He's
at the
Lindy.
Kentucky Derby. He's Lindy. His fashion's a bit more Lindy. Whereas Casey Harmberg was dressed like a guy who has a YouTube channel.
Yep.
And he has tattoos. Lots of like full arm tattoos.
It was kind of like if Mike Huckabee and Kyle Rittenhouse were brothers and they went on that adventure together.
or at the very least, Mike Huckabee and Steven Crowder.
Yeah. That's a better one.
Yeah, maybe Kyle's a little too young, but well, imagine that buddy comedy. That's the buddy comedy.
Huckabee and Steven Crowder.
Yes,
that would be incredible.
I just want to say, shout out to LGBT icon Steven Crowder, who revealed in an offhand remark recently that at one point in his life he had a bisexual phase.
Yeah. What did that mean? What does that mean? Because he claims he'd never had sex before marriage.
Which could be. I mean, he could have thought that he was maybe attracted to men and women.
Yeah.
He was, if I remember the context of the clip correctly, he was talking about things that he went through when he was young and confused that he's very happy he's out of now as an adult who's devout in his Christianity. But one of these things was he was like, and there was a bisexual phase. Glad I'm out of that now. And it was just a very like quick offhand remark, but like,
cool.
What can I say?
Shout out Steven
We're
Crowder.
happy.
Yeah.
Shout out Steven Crowder. We're happy to have you among the fold. Back to Elijah's secret. So at first I thought this was going to refer to the prophet Elijah, but it was not at all. Had not much to do with the prophet Elijah whatsoever. In fact, I just want to say off the top, because this is going to dictate a lot of this episode. In Elijah's secret, we are not only getting a work that has to do with Catholicism, we are also getting a work in our repertoire here that is about the Jesuits. That's right. This is, as far as I can remember, the first movie we've ever covered that mentions or acknowledges the Jesuits.
Right.
And
their conspiracy.
And their grand conspiracy to take over all institutions and institute the one world government and new world order that we have come to know very well after our month of watching the Left Behind series.
Yeah, I can't believe we're watching another movie.
I know. We had no idea.
Yeah,
this
I
one was
didn't know
awesome,
either.
though.
Yeah. No, about halfway through, I was like, oh no, this is a Rapture movie again.
Yeah.
But it approaches it from a completely different and fresh way. It makes a connection that Left Behind never did, because Left Behind does not really engage with Catholicism, at least the movie doesn't, and certainly not the Jesuits, who, maybe we'll get into this as we explanate the movie a little more, because I'm ready to jump right into the fun stuff. But just as a brief introduction before we explain a little more, certain people view the Jesuits as a Freemason-like secret society that has their hands in many aspects of politics, religion, government, and their goal is to cause chaos, cause bankruptcy, basically anything they can do to upset the global balance and initiate the one world government, the New World Order that we know so well from our rapture theology. So we're getting a lot of that today from Elijah's Secret, and I'm so excited to get into it. But where does this movie start with? I have a whole series of notes, but I almost still don't remember where it starts.
The very first frame says, "We stand with Israel."
Yes.
Right.
That was when I knew it was going to be a banger.
I laughed so hard at the beginning.
When you turn on a movie and the first frame is a black background, simple white Helvetica text in the middle of the screen that says, "We stand with Israel," period, then you know the film's about to be a banger. Personally, if it were me, I would mandate that every single movie that gets released starts with that. But that's just me. Then it enters with some more text, a disclaimer. And I paraphrase what this disclaimer says. Basically says that Elijah's Secret is a work of fiction. However, it contains true information about the Jesuits, Catholicism, and the Holy Bible. The film is not meant to spread hate and fear, but it is meant to shed light on the Vatican and its secret military group, the Jesuits. Also in this opening title crawl, the filmmakers apologize because they understand that the film is going to be controversial, but they invite you, the viewer, to watch it with an open mind. And that we did.
Yeah.
Our third eyes were open.
You
while
could
watching
really
Elijah's
get away with anything if you just say, approach with an open mind.
Yes. It should be like some sort of instituted government censorship code that, one, every movie starts with, we stand with Israel. The second frame is, we invite viewers to watch this with an open mind. Apart from that, you can say anything you want to say. I'm all for abolishing the MPAA rating
That's
system.
the new code or whatever.
Yeah, the new Hayes Code or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think we should abolish all the ratings. Like I think like kids should be allowed to see like NC-17 movies, but I do think that every movie should state that they stand with Israel.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, down in front. Quit standing for Israel.
And then they give the verse Revelation 13, 1 through 18. Which
Yes. What's that one? I mean, 1 through 18 is a pretty long chunk of the Bible, but-
Right?
if it,
That's Gandalf.
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah, that's
I think it
Old
just
Testament
says-
Gandalf.
crazy shit's happening for 18 verses.
Oh, it has to do that has to do with Babylon. I remember now. It's a long section, it's 18 verses, but that's the one where it has to do with like, you know, the beast with 7 heads and Babylon the Great and like all that good stuff that we love that's in Revelation. So, you know, we're opening biblically, we're opening with lots of fire, but I believe that this film really opens with a character that we later find out is Elijah and another character clad in black with only a cross necklace visible, who I believe might be the Black Pope.
I believe he's the Black Pope's assistant.
the
according
Black
to the
Pope's
credits.
assistant. Sure. And they are meeting in a cemetery, and they are, well, they're talking about stuff that really didn't make any sense to me at first, but after the movie, I guess it made a little more sense.
Yeah, one thing that they say is the Black Pope's assistant tells Elijah to not get close to a woman. They've noticed
Right.
that he has gotten maybe intimate with a woman, and they remind him that that is against their code.
Yes.
And then Elijah, who's the Huckabee brother, he starts doing these facial contour. He's like, "Oh no, she's not my girlfriend." And then he starts doing these facial contortions, like he's in that video game L.A. Noire, and he's being interrogated, and they're like, "There's something suspicious about this guy," and he's like, "Hello." It's so funny. And also throughout this whole scene, there's like weird surveillance filters put over everything and like targets on them with like little information,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense until the end. I was surprised that at the very end that all made sense.
I know. This movie was actually very remarkable in that way. How many choices just seemed completely avant-garde, but actually were explained later in a kind of like artful way. But
Yeah.
along the way, it was just like extremely baffling.
This whole movie felt like I fell asleep during a movie and then woke up at the end.
Yeah.
Like the entire movie had this feeling of like I was falling asleep throughout the movie.
I do remember that the Black Pope's assistant at one point says to Elijah, I wrote down, "We have taught you how to solve puzzles. How is your wife?" I
Right.
believe is a quote from this scene, as if to sort of show. I mean to introduce that quote to sort of show the dialogue tree in this movie. I was just very like, "We have taught you how to solve puzzles." There's a very Myst-like quality to this movie.
Yeah,
I mean
especially
Myst in the
'cause he's
MYST sense, of course.
Dressed in a robe and talking
Right.
to you on a park bench.
Right. Lots of like grandiose non sequiturs,
Which for
talks.
a secret organization is pretty cavalier about wearing the black robes out into public
Yeah,
and having their conversations in a park.
right. One thing that I found very charming about basically the entirety of this movie was how it all took place in rural to suburban Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone who was there was also barely any costuming done except for the odd person who was dressed as an evil monk or
Yes.
like wearing a suit every so often. But mostly all the characters, even ones who had lots of intrigue in the story, would just be like old ladies wearing like Minnie Mouse shirts and just like literally whatever they had around that day, which I thought was really neat. It was cool to see like a secret meeting about infiltrating the Jesuits take place, and like the costuming was like one of the guys wore a fedora, and everyone else was just straight up wearing like a long sleeve like Donald Duck t-shirt or something. I thought that was sick.
A little later, there is a meeting amongst the most elite of every branch of the military is called to a church where they are briefed on the Jesuit takeover of the government. And one of the nation's most elite soldiers is a 70-year-old man wearing a Beatles hoodie and a cargo shorts.
I forgot what it was. It was the Beatles.
And the other is a 14-year-old dressed like a blues brother. It was really, truly amazing. It felt like I was watching Harvest, like a cutscene from Harvester.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can agree this was a video game-like movie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially from the genre that like Julian and I love, especially, which is that like
FMV.
Yeah, the Y2K era like FMV games where everything feels kind of like surreal and barren and disjointed, like just by default,
right?
Based on how weirdly everyone moves and talks.
Very strangely color corrected too, but like in a way that was obviously a choice,
right?
Yeah. And I don't know if y'all saw at the end, this was all shot on an iPhone 6S.
I did not see that. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, pretty impressive. And I will say, like, there is some very strange use of stock footage in here, but overall, I think he did a pretty good job of like using it to convey changes of scenery or whatever he was trying to do with it. It like kind of made sense after a while.
Yeah,
or even like the hacking scenes couldn't just get a close-up shot of somebody typing on a computer. He uses stock footage of someone typing on a computer.
Right.
But it all worked.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there was some things that were very like tasteful about the movie stylistically.
Yes.
Which was, weirdly contrasted with how strange it all was. Like it did have a sense of like it did have a point of view. It did have a stylistic point of view.
Right.
In a way that a lot of these films that we watch that are on the ultra low budget DIY scale will just kind of seem like in every scene they're just throwing everything at the wall as they go. This film did seem like it had a vision to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that vision, of course, is that the Roman Catholics, through their secret military organization, the Jesuits, are attempting to take over the world.
Yeah. And one of their recruits is the director of the film.
Yes.
Playing, what's his name? Chris
Holmes.
Yeah, Chris Holmes, who we see is a former soldier living with his wife and children. His wife is a non-believer.
Listen, sweetheart. I know you don't like to hear this, but God is in control. He will take care of us.
I can't believe you still believe in God. Have you not seen the world lately? All these innocent people are dying left and right.
The world has become a playground for sin. I mean, what do you expect to happen in a world that's so full of sin?
Well, if your God is so powerful, why doesn't he destroy the devil and make things good again?
Because God is good. He tells us thou shalt not kill, and he doesn't break his own commandments.
And they kind of have differences of opinion about religion. He is a Christian, but we do see a shadowy government organization who we're not sure if it's the Jesuits or somebody else hacking into his profile on some database of flying pictures of people's faces and changing his religion from Christianity to atheist, spelled ATHIEST. And also, this is the computers used for hacking in this movie are definitely you definitely want to leave those on dark mode.
Yeah,
all the time. There is a lot of bright, distracting imagery going on in the background of those computer screens.
Misspelled and mispronounced words ended up being a huge motif of this movie. Yes. I noticed in the first scene of the movie, they pronounced it heretic the whole time.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
They were like all the heretics. it was one of those cases of people knowing words because they read them and not because they heard them pronounced.
Yeah.
Which I can get behind, but it was just funny because, like, heretic is a pretty important word if you're making this movie.
Okay, so how do you two? What do the two of you call a movie that is about somebody's life, a real person's life?
I know what you're getting at here.
Yeah.
I call it a biopic.
Yeah.
Scott?
Same. Biopic.
Yeah. I had a college roommate who insisted it was biopic.
Okay.
And I think I've heard other people say that before.
I mean, I get why, because traditionally in like a 3-syllable word, the second syllable is emphasized.
Yes.
If you look at the word like myopic,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce that.
Mhm.
But what is a biopic? It's a biopic.
Right.
It's a
right.
biographical picture.
Yeah.
A biographical moving picture. They should call it a biomopic.
Yeah. Biomopic.
A biomopic. They should call it a bionicle. But yeah, I love shit like that. I mean, I don't always get it right, but I'm such a fucking nerd about shit like that. So.
It's funny when you realize you have to say a word that you've never said out loud before.
Yeah, that you've read a bunch.
And like that's one of the few times where I'll like sweat.
I know.
From nerves.
No, actually, for some reason, this called back a repressed memory of one time in middle school, like history class. The entire class laughed at me because I pronounced the word tobacco instead of tobacco. But I just, I only had read the word before, and it's just like the A, I guess you could maybe think it would be pronounced ah in that sense.
Yeah.
So I said tobacco, and like the whole class stopped to just like laugh at me.
Wow.
I'm sorry for laughing.
It's funny. It is funny, but
it's
just
like you thought of it as like an Italian word.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Tabazzo.
don't really know what I was thinking of, but that's just like activating a repressed memory. That being said, if your movie is about heresy, then you should probably not say it like heretic the whole time. I mean, I used to think it was pronounced that way too, but it's like I'm also not making a movie about heretics.
There were a lot of big words and ideas thrown around.
Quite.
Like when we get to the secret meeting, the briefing.
Oh my God. One of the best scenes in all of the films we've watched.
Oh, yeah. So Elijah calls these people to...
The armed forces. The elite armed forces.
Calls the elite armed forces to gather into a church in suburban Florida where he briefs them on the Jesuit takeover, and he informs them all that they are indigo children who they have been monitoring since birth for this moment. Bear in mind, some of these people are like 80 years old and others are like 15.
Yeah.
It is the funniest mix of extras I've ever seen in a movie. It was like, it used to be, I saw Battle Angel Alita, and like in the background of this like post-apocalyptic like slums that they live in, there were just people wearing like zip-up hoodies and cargo shorts walking around like looking like they had walked out of Disneyland or something. And I think this one now usurps that as the best use, the most insane use of extras in a movie.
Yeah. I mean, God, it looked like a meeting of the of like the hentai club or something. Like I'm trying to find exactly the
It's
right...
like a photo when it's like the Reddit mod meetup.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was like the meetup of
the message
r
board
slash
meetup.
r/Jesuits message board meetup. It really, really was like that.
And this room looks like just an all-purpose room at a church or something, or like a mess hall or something like that.
Yes.
Right.
And when Elijah's giving his talk too, I love that for like a TV screen basically next to him, it was obviously just overlaid, but it was just like a circle on the wall.
Yeah, with like his name.
Yeah, it looked great. But when he brought up the secret master, how did he word it? Like the secret master who you have to agree to be subservient to. They showed like a giant red blinking eye in the circle.
Yes.
I forgot about that. I was focused on how Yeah, the overlay, the CGI overlay that was just always next to him at all times during the presentation said Elijah, I'm blanking on his last name, but it called him Professor of Science and Secret Jesuit Priest. And that was just being constantly like overlaid on him. Oh, Elijah Steinbeck. Yeah, Professor of Science and Secret Jesuit Priest. I wrote down a couple things from his speech. In this new Aquarian age, we are about to unfold the new world order. We have been watching you from the cradle. You were indigo children, and each of you swore an allegiance to the Constitution. So these are the things that all of the elite armed forces members had in common.
Right.
In their meeting with Elijah.
They're going to teach them how to levitate, how to, which the clip art for levitation, I think, was the funniest of all the clip art. Yeah, it was really interesting how they had like this futuristic hologram monitor next to him throughout. Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I know it looked super shitty, but it was just like a fun idea that they had this like super advanced technology and like magical powers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they were like literally just pool salesmen from suburban Florida.
Yup. To elaborate a little more on the quote you brought up, I'm paraphrasing, but I wrote down, we are going to develop your power to levitate your body, others, and objects, and we will initiate you into the secrets of the occult and the latest developments in the realm of Satanism.
Yeah. This was like a Chris Maggio photo come to life. It was truly awesome. And then when he started levitating and it looked like a Tim and Eric skit.
It really did. It was awesome.
But I didn't think it could get better than that until he made the other guy levitate, the like 14-year-old with the fedora levitate. And he's like, hey, knock it out. He did the weird voice where he's like, what's the big idea?
The Blues little brother.
Yeah.
The Blues little brother. I love that. Oh, I think I wrote down his exact quote, which is, someone get me down from here.
Brother Elijah.
Yeah, Brother Elijah. And he's like, someone get me down from here. Yeah. Now, at this meeting, this is definitely one of the most pivotal scenes in the whole movie.
Right.
At this meeting, upon hearing all of this talk of, so again, Elijah says that they have sworn an allegiance to the Constitution, but now they must swear an allegiance to the Constitution of the New World Order and also swear to the new Messiah, who will be the Messiah on earth, who will be more powerful than the Messiah in heaven, etc., etc.
Who you must swear to before being named.
Yes, exactly. I love that in the beginning, he's like, no, you guys are all Christians, and that's why we chose you. So now you should swear to the new Christ. Yeah. And everyone in the church is like nodding and smiling, like, well, okay. And Christopher Holmes stands
waiting for a new Christ.
Yeah. But then Chris Holmes stands up like that guy in that one Norman Rockwell painting, which has been a meme recently. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter, but a lot of people have been posting just that Norman Rockwell painting and then saying things like, I liked Rihanna's Super Bowl halftime show or whatever. But he stands up like the middle class, the lower class guy in that Norman Rockwell painting, and the one called Freedom of Speech by Norman Rockwell. And he says, as a Christian and as an American, I have sworn my allegiance to the real Christ and also to the American Constitution. And no, I will not be initiated into, your new secret order. And, I think anyone in this room who considers himself a Christian should get up and leave now. To which Elijah responds, very good. Okay, you have been immediately terminated from the United States military. And you will wish you've never been born or something like that. There's a lot of things
he says if you mention this to anybody, you'll wish you were never born. Yeah. Because it did seem very strange that they just let him leave.
Very strange.
After telling him they briefed them on all of this information, and then we're like, okay, if you disagree, then leave. But don't tell anybody.
And they come for him.
Yeah, they do. An assassin comes for him shortly after he leaves.
That car crash when he got hit in the car, that was pretty awesome.
That was awesome. Loved the special effects in this movie. We had a good car crash when they attempt to assassinate Chris Holmes when he's leaving the meeting. They hit him with the car. He gets out of the car. They shoot him like 26 times, but he's fine. He just got shot in the leg, apparently. Also, when Elijah returns home, when the secret Jesuit priest, who has the ability to levitate, and all of these amazing magical things, he returns home to his wife, who, if you'll remember from our description of the beginning of the movie, he's not supposed to have this wife, or at the very least not get too attached to her. He returns home to her in what looks like a trailer home, basically, in like rural Florida. Doesn't appear to be anyone around for miles. She, the wife, who seems to be a devout Christian and expresses concern over Elijah being involved with the Jesuits, she gets into her car and the thing fucking explodes.
Yep.
And CGI flames.
Yep. They got him. He swears revenge.
Yes.
First he goes and sorry.
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about the scene? Because I know this scene particularly touched you.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of the Cold Steel, the Cold Steel Sword and Blade Company. They manufacture combat arms, I guess, of the bladed variety. And a lot of their product showcase videos have a man in black slacks, a dark red button down, and like a business tie with like a goatee. And he's looks like he's about 5'8" and 250 pounds. He, in this like cubicle uniform, demonstrates the power of things like a Chinese war sword or like brass knuckles that have blades on the end of them. And that's what this felt like when Elijah goes and starts chopping wood furiously in his black slacks and purple button down and tie. And his like
trilby. Is he wearing the hat at that point in the movie? I can't tell.
No, he only wears the trilby in the first
scene.
Yeah.
He's chopping wood. And I love when he angrily goes to the river and starts skipping stones.
He starts throwing rocks into the water, and then you can tell he clearly improv this line where he just goes, "Never could skip a stone." And he's just angrily throwing rocks straight into the water. Yeah, they live on that kind of property that if you're ever driving through like the Midwest on freeways, you'll sort of see like somebody has like a small house that's just aluminum siding, and it's like a ranch house basically, and then they have like a pond that they've clearly dug themselves,
right? And
like a tire swing. He lives on that kind of property.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I wrote in my notes, Elijah is currently skipping stones and thinking about revenge. There's a lot of improv dialogue in this movie. I mean, I know that the brothers, who are again the two main characters, let's remind you, Wayne and Casey, play Elijah and Chris respectively. So this is one of the creators of this movie is Elijah. So I'm sure they felt that they could take liberties and just improv whatever they felt like.
Yeah.
Being that they were the writers of the movies. So he'll just be, chopping wood and being like, I think I'm going to take my revenge.
Yeah. You really notice the improv in the latter half of the movie when Elijah, whenever he speaks, he says stuff, he stammers and says like, now you see, or like, well, it's kind of like, he's sort of like generalizing what the script told him to say.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They have a guideline they're going by. They clearly have beats they're working from.
Hey, he's the screenwriter, right?
Right.
Up to him.
Exactly. But I love that in movies. I love when you can tell that, someone is just paraphrasing what's actually on the page. And it's very, very obvious.
This movie gets very conversational. It's interesting because we were annoyed with how conversational it was in the new Left Behind just 2 weeks ago. But it was refreshing in this movie. Like the climax is just the two brothers talking in the woods for like 15 minutes. It was like a Kelly Reichardt movie by the end.
Yeah. I mean, a Kelly Reichardt movie where the guy from Cold Steel opens up a Stargate in the middle of a field in suburban Florida. Like every time they would talk for a long time, it would get just when I thought it was getting boring, they would interject some strange bit of magic, like him trying to light the fire in the old drum, or like the very end when the drone comes out of nowhere and he just touches the drone.
Yeah.
Yes, that was awesome. I liked when he revealed to Chris that he had created an invisible fortress in the woods.
Yes.
By basically he just like willed a force field that we could not see around him, and that made him invisible to any government surveillance.
So yeah, Elijah is betrayed or feels betrayed by the Jesuits.
Right.
He wanders off into the woods in like a business casual attire.
That was insane.
Where his idea of camping is to sleep with your sleeping bag like completely open, just wrapped around you.
Yeah.
And wear all of your clothes, including your belt and shoes, while you're sleeping in your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Or like kind of half out of your sleeping bag. And then he wakes up and he's like, gotta find another place to camp. I'm all wet. It's like, yeah, dude,
crazy.
you weren't in the sleeping bag.
So crazy.
Yeah.
He was camping like Zama. His life just getting worse and worse as the movie progresses, getting lost further in the woods.
Yeah, so Holmes, after surviving his assassination attempt, sets out after Elijah for answers.
Correct.
After I think he gets a tip from his friend who is sheriff or something.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's all sort of a blur to me, but it could be.
Yeah.
And yes, he does set up this drive will eventually cause the two brothers to meet in what's got described as the climax of the film. I was thinking this might be a good time to talk about some Jesuit and anti-Pope lore, if you wouldn't mind me doing so.
Sure.
I do think it is somewhat important to understand the film, and this really is the driving motivation behind the film itself.
The key moment in regards to this is Holmes going to the library and checking out a book with a giant swastika on the cover, and it says The Jesuit Conspiracy.
Yes. Yeah, it basically looks like he's reading like Mein Kampf, like a 1940 edition of Mein Kampf in the library. It has a giant swastika on it. He's just sitting there reading it.
The book's called The Secret History of Jesuits.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So clearly from this movie, we are to intuit that the Jesuits are up to no good, right? They are insidiously, trying to infiltrate the government and religions. They're trying to bankrupt countries to bring about the one world governments. There's even archival footage intercut into the film of people talking about how the Jesuits were behind Abraham Lincoln's assassination, John F. Kennedy's assassination. There's also an interview with a woman who they don't really go into it, but the caption of her interview is unknowingly married a Jesuit priest. So what we are to infer by this is that the Jesuits are total liars, and they are basically like the way that some people view, the Jews or the Freemasons or various other sort of minority religious groups that they believe are out to in some way control the fabric of society. I do want to share some of the background on Jesuits and how they relate to Roman Catholicism as I understand it.
I love learning about a new cabal.
Me too. You know what?
Yeah.
Honestly, blaming the Jews is so out.
Yeah.
I stand with Israel, y'all. And it's all about the Jesuits now. Elijah's Secret gave me a new cabal to believe in. I completely agree.
Yeah.
They started the KKK and the Illuminati.
They were involved with both world wars, the Holocaust. They founded organizations like the Ku Klux Klan, the Illuminati. They were even behind the Lincoln assassination.
The range.
I want you to go on to InfoWars with a completely like a totally black mask and start doing the voice of whoever do the voice of the Pope like Kanye West did for Benjamin Netanyahu.
Just
I
lip
would
sync
love to.
audio from this movie with your face slightly blurred.
But the thing is, so what my understanding is that the brothers who made this movie, if I had to guess, I actually think that they are Protestants who are anti-Catholic, and they see the Jesuits specifically as a secret arm, a militaristic arm of the Roman Catholic Church that is trying to infiltrate the world. But the thing is that there's actually a lot of anti-Jesuit sentiment within certain factions of Roman Catholicism itself. So there are Catholics who are opposed to the current Pope, who is Pope Francis. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. Now, I don't know much about Catholicism. There's a good chance I might say something slightly wrong or not have the full story. So please bear with me. I don't know if you all know this, but the current Pope, Pope Francis, is the first Jesuit Pope.
Did not know that.
What?
So this is crazy, y'all. So there currently is a Jesuit presiding in the Vatican. And so I'm also going to preface this by saying some of this I learned because I listened to a lot of Red Scare podcast. And an arc of the past year is that one of the co-hosts of the show, Dasha Nekrasova, she briefly flirted with sedevacantism, which is a sort of subset of Catholics who do not recognize the authority of the current Pope of the time. In this case, that would be Catholics who do not believe Francis to be a valid Pope. They see him as an anti-Pope who was basically illegitimately appointed to the papacy. He is not appointed by God. And as you might understand, this is not a very popular claim to hold within Catholicism, where you as a Catholic are supposed to respect the authority of the Pope because the Pope is divinely appointed. So to be anti-Pope is against the will of God.
Mm-hmm.
But if you firmly believe, as the sedevacantists do, that a Pope is illegitimate, then of course, you think you're doing the right thing. You don't believe that the current papal appointee is God's will. In the 60s, there was a council known as the Second Vatican Council, whereas, as I understand it, basically the entire Catholic Church at the top bureaucratic levels got together and talked about basically revising and revamping the teachings of the church to cope with an ever-changing modern society. And a big thing that was revamped in the Second Vatican Council of the 60s was that the church got more ecumenical, meaning that they were trying to, they used to be very like, for instance, Protestants are misguided. They used to think that the goal of the reunification of Christians should just mean that they should get all Protestants to become Catholic because the Catholic Church is the true church. When ecumenicism was more of the thing, that meant that, no, we should collaborate with the Protestants. Like, we should be more tolerant of Protestantism because we all worship one God. Okay. And a lot of Catholics, well, a certain subset of Catholics, they don't want to have this universalism. I mean, in this movie, many times they talk about how the Pope was there with Buddhists and fire worshipers, and like they listed all these different like shaman. Right. They listed basically these different like slurs for different like religious practitioners. They called like Native Americans like fire worshipers, and they called various people shamans. And it's funny because this is Protestants criticizing the Pope for that reason, but there's also Catholics who criticize the modern Catholic Church for that reason. They believe that the church should not be so ecumenical. The Catholic Church should not say that, no, we are all a part of the same thing. We're all a part of the same thing, y'all. It's all one God. Coexist, exactly. But it's
this this is the first Pope to have a coexist bumper sticker on his Pope mobile.
Yeah.
And a one world order bumper sticker on the other side.
Yeah, he got the One
Yeah.
World Order license plate.
Hunk if you support the
special
One
license
World
plate.
Order.
The dead giveaway.
Well, think about it. Catholics, I like to roast Catholics because of how bureaucratic their entire religion is, right?
Yeah.
As a dirty prot myself, I believe that you don't need to go through like multiple, like if you believe that Pope Francis is the anti-pope and the Pope has to appoint bishops for them to be valid, therefore, and also you have to get baptized by an appointed bishop to ensure, passage into heaven.
Oh my
If you
God.
truly believe that Pope Francis is an anti-pope, then that basically means that all of his appointed bishops are not doing correct baptisms.
Mhm.
So you, as just a loyal Catholic, may not have been baptized correctly if you were baptized by a pope that was like appointed after the Second Vatican Council.
There
So,
could be
like,
a whole generation missing from heaven.
That's exactly.
Whoa, the lost generation.
100%. That is a deep concern of like Sedeficantis.
That's probably why there's so many bad things happening in the world right now, because
Well.
there's not as many angels in heaven to look after us because of the Second Vatican Council.
Yeah. I mean, it's something to
Start
think about.
ringing your bells. Everybody start ringing your bells. We need more angels.
We sure do. And maybe the angels even have their wings. They're understaffed. No one wants to
Right.
work anymore.
Yeah. So it's like, there's unemployment's low right now because angel wings is high right now, but it's like some angels have like 3 or 4 pairs of wings.
Okay.
And they're just getting work to the bone.
All those like depictions of angels where they're like they had 72 sets of wings and 46 eyes.
Yeah.
That's just because like angels have to work harder doing multiple jobs now.
Hey, quit ringing that bell so much.
My angels are looking fucked up. Well, this is to say that universalism is very criticized in this movie as well. And that's hopefully the background I just gave, which was kind of long-winded, shows the point of view of these two brothers who are against the Jesuits putting their universalism, which is a false doctrine.
Do you think that like QAnon Great Reset people will start talking about universalism next because they're all about globalism right now?
That's interesting.
And they just like will take that word and turn it into something else similar to what happened with globalism.
I could see
that's
it.
a really good point.
Yeah.
I could see it. I feel like those discussions are already happening parallel within religious organizations. But you're right. I mean, the Great Reset, that's more of a political and sociological term, right? Because it has to do with like the replacement of the white race with other races.
No, well,
I'm thinking of the Great Replacement.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Great.
I can't remember what the
Great Awakening is like the QAnon thing now, where we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's the one where they're like, wake up to where the whole like you're gonna sit in a pod and eat a bug. 'Cause,
Right,
like Bill
yes.
Gates is all of COVID was just like some test thing to make us
right.
live in our little bunkers.
Yes, which I completely agree with.
Yeah.
But go on.
It's so
Yeah, I don't believe this is the legitimate Bill Gates after the second Microsoft Council.
After the Windows 95 Council,
Yeah, after Windows ME came out.
they elected a
I
false
find
Bill
all
Gates.
other Windows operating systems to be false operating systems.
Yeah, and ever since, and then they conspired to kill John McAfee.
Yeah,
And now we can't even protect ourselves from viruses anymore.
that's why we got coronavirus.
Oh no!
Oh
Because
my
they
God.
killed John McAfee.
Oh my God!
God,
This is so crazy.
it's not joking when it's like your trial's about to run out.
I know.
He was like, your McAfee antivirus trial is linked to my heartbeat. If it stops, the trial ends. And the little boy with his finger in the dike is no longer with us. He's jamming in heaven.
He is jamming in heaven,
Jeffrey
of course.
Epstein and Roseanne Barr.
I do think with this movie though, and like the QAnoners too, like have this very like hopeless outlook of life, and we've seen a lot of like 2012 to 2016, basically Obama second term era dystopian future Christian movies, and they're all like pretty bleak. But I felt like in this one, even though they were exploring the secret society of Jesuits and how the Jesuits are infiltrating everywhere, ultimately Jesus could still infiltrate a Jesuit's hardened heart.
Yes.
Yes,
This
good point.
definitely ended with a pretty optimistic note, where Holmes converts Elijah to Christianity. And we see the final conversion when he touches a drone that finds them in the woods. I didn't really understand what that scene was.
Truly,
It was a beautiful scene. It was like they somehow used a drone to like the effect of magical realism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very strange. And with that conversion, we learn through some sort of like very technical, like you basically like read the end notes for the movie on a computer screen.
Right.
From someone from some organization that's like a secret government organization, the OSI, I think it was called.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like the Office of Secret Intelligence.
Sure. Yeah.
Where it turns out they were responsible for all of the surveillance footage we saw throughout the film.
Aha.
And they're conducting something called Operation Tribulation, which would keep some thumb drive with secret information out of the hands of the Black Pope. Which I say, why does the Pope got to be black? No, that's their term for the false Pope.
Right. Is the Pope black? That's supposed to be, is the Pope Catholic? You know how they always say, is the Pope Catholic? Anyway.
That's a Jesuit joke.
Yeah, that's a little bit of Jesuit humor for everyone out there.
Yeah, well, I always say the Black Pope drives the Pope Mobile like this, and the White Pope drives the Pope Mobile like this. So yeah, it's considered a successful mission. The Jesuits are foiled in their attempt to access some secret government information.
It's true.
Thanks to the secret government organization.
Thanks to the good secret government organization.
Yeah. Do y'all remember covering the Lammy Man family movie, Mayflower 2?
Oh, yeah.
That was not a sequel to Mayflower 1. It was just called Mayflower 2. That kind of felt like a soft reboot of this in a way. But they were like they really got into it, and then we're like, let's strip out the Jesuit stuff, though.
Yeah, I really like these like Christian science fiction films.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, me too.
The more crappy special effects, the more engaged I am.
Well, you know what's funny? There's actually there's like what's the word? There's a tipping point for me because sometimes the Lamamans, they get so into they almost do the Marvel movie thing of building everything with CGI to the point where I kind of like get overwhelmed by it and tune out, even though there's so many amazing moments. Like I'll never forget like the government home for children that are meant to live without their parents, and like how girls are not allowed to play with dolls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like that's incredible. But I think that Elijah's Secret, to its credit, had like the perfect amount of special effects, like where it was like there was still so much of like, you know, we had just enough like footage of houses and woods and like the suburbs. It almost reminded me of Trash Humpers, like the lo-fi shots of like summer greenery.
Yeah,
like
I was getting big Three Angels vibes.
Yeah, me too. I thought of the Three Angels. Yeah, our favorite DIY filmmakers who mostly shoot everything in their town of Cornwall, Ontario. This is a very another similar thing. It kind of like uses the empty space in the rural areas or suburban areas as a vacuum for like mystical things to happen. That's sort of what this movie did, as well as the Three Angels films. So I really appreciated that. But yeah, we still got plenty of like hacking scenes and stock footage and CGI explosions and like all this good stuff. We got levitation. I thought it was just the right amount.
The car crash and explosion were so good.
They were so good. Oh my God, that was
in
great.
my notes 3 minutes apart. I have written best car crash, and then three minutes later, best car explosion.
They really, really were.
Yeah.
God.
So I guess 2 important plot revelations before we wrap up. The sheriff friend of Holmes is the man in the robes. He's the Black Pope's assistant.
Huh. That's interesting.
That was revealed at the end.
Uh-huh.
Didn't really make any sense as to why it was him.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, it was a vaguely anti-cop statement in just having the only law enforcement character be the harbinger of the false pope.
Yeah,
True.
And then also,
AGM.
did y'all catch the did y'all catch the post-credit scene?
No.
Really?
Did I turn it off?
Scott, did you?
I was really tired. It was like 1 a.m.
Yes. I
With
think so.
Holmes's wife looking in the mirror,
I missed
and
this.
there's like a MIDI horn that plays, and then a glowing like white star appears over her pregnant stomach, and then her
Okay, no.
there's like
no,
a
I did
flash,
not.
and she's no longer pregnant, and she starts screaming like, "My baby! Where did my baby go?"
Oh my god!
I can't believe you guys missed this.
I
It was
cannot
insane.
believe I turned it off.
You know what?
yeah,
I
so
think
I
as
was
soon as
like-
I saw that it was shot on
sequences.
iPhone 6S, I was like, grabbed my notebook and wrote that down again, and then walked away.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I turned it off. I don't do post credit sequences. I'm sorry. I leave. What am I supposed to do? Watch the whole credits?
It made me wonder if it was hinting at like the rapture, or if it was something like the baby teleported away because it was an indigo child. It was so many questions. I was one of the
Whoa.
few post-credit scenes that actually like got me excited to see a sequel.
Oh wow! I
Oh,
really
man.
hope they make Elijah's Secret too. That's so fucking sick.
Yeah, it was truly remarkable. Yeah, get it when you get a chance. Just check it out. It's like
I will
10
be.
seconds after
Absolutely.
the end
I
of
mean,
the
I'm
movie.
definitely going to watch this movie again, too. Like, it's
Me too.
It does
good.
not surprise me. I would
Me too.
probably show this to someone
Yeah, this is
or
This
at
is
a
a
party or
new-
something.
I mean, listen, there's lots of stuff we cover that's great, but then this to me is a definitely like one of the first ones. Again, I'm so desensitized to these, but this is one of the first ones in a couple months where I'm like, I want to get a gang of people together to watch this movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is finally, I feel like we have another like Christian party movie,
yeah.
which only come once in a blue moon.
There have been a few lately where I was like, oh yeah, this truly reminds me of why we started doing this podcast. But this
agree.
one really fucking scratched that itch.
I agree. Some other random things from my notes before we get out of here. One of my favorite line exchanges in the whole movie. I'm glad I looked at my notes. I love when Chris Holmes says to Elijah, "Don't you think it's a little odd that they blew up your wife like that?" And Elijah says, "Yes, I find that very odd." Oh my god, that's so fucking funny.
That's awesome.
I really loved, I think it was the Woe guy who, dressed as Dilbert, tries to break into that elderly woman's house
Oh right, yeah. he was
and I
awesome.
think assassinate her or something.
So why is he
But
trying
the
to
way he
kill
like
this woman?
sneaks is to just walk at normal pace up to a wall and then put his back to it. Like you can't see it, like he's Solid Snake or something.
Yeah.
And then she hits him in the head with a frying pan. And then the next scene, he's like, "Why did you hit me in the face with a frying pan?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Why are you sneaking around my house?" And that's the end of the storyline.
Why did you hit me in the chin with that frying pan?
You're lucky I didn't use my machete. That's what I do to people that sneak around my house. Do you know what you need? You need the Lord.
Yup. Yeah, we never know.
I don't
why.
think we ever go back
We
to
never
find out if he was
know.
going to kill her, if she converts him, or what's going on there.
Yeah, at that point we just have an 85-year-old woman with a hostage, like a 55-year-old hostage that she's just hit with a frying pan.
Yeah.
You're right. Never checked up on again. Doesn't matter. Another just like Catholic lore thing. There's a really weird part where Elijah is talking to Chris. They're in the woods, and he's talking about his spirit guides that taught him magic. He says that I have been assured by Padre Pio that he will keep me from spending more than a week in purgatory.
Not only that, I've been assured by my good friend, Padre Pio, that he will certainly keep me from spending any more than a week in purgatory. He's gotten that information from Our Lady of Fatima, so I know it's real.
He also talks about learning things from Our Lady Fatima. And the weird thing about this is like Padre Pio is like a famous, he's a saint. There's actually a new movie about him starring, what's his name? The guy who was in Holes. He's like now way more famous than that.
Shia
LaBeouf.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because he's like a big Catholic now, right?
Right.
The fate of all canceled misogynists is to become a Catholic.
Exactly. Many such cases. But, you know, he was, he's just a very famous like Catholic saint figure who had a supernatural phenomena for like reading people's souls. And he was sort of like psychic, basically. Also, him referencing Our Lady Fatima. Our Lady of Fatima refers to these Marian apparitions of the Virgin Mary that appeared to children in the city of Fatima, Portugal. And these are very important in contemporary Catholic mythology. There are 3 secrets of Fatima, 2 that were revealed, and 1 that was never revealed. Catholics love fucking lore.
Yeah.
They are obsessed with lore
Like
in a way
Opus Dei.
Like what?
Opus Dei.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard that word and I don't really know what it means.
Me neither.
Frankly.
I only know it from they're the bad guys in the Da Vinci Code, and also there's a reference to it in The Sopranos.
Right.
But there's all kinds of there's like a whole Wiktionary on this stuff.
There's so much lore. Yes, in the 1930s there were 2 secrets that came from the Virgin Mary, the 3 secrets of Fatima. One was supposed to be revealed in 1960. It was about the same time as the Second Vatican Council, right? That happened in the 60s. There's lots of conspiracy. There's lots of speculation about this. Anyway, I don't really understand what the reference to this was in Elijah's Secret. I feel like they were just dropping Catholic buzzwords to kind of like further condemn Catholic lore as being like pagan in nature, which this is one of my worst takes that no one likes. Catholicism is paganism, y'all. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm a Lutheran through and through. Like, that's just how I was raised. It's how I grew up. I don't really think Catholicism is paganism, but I find the lore so alienating. I don't think it makes any sense that if you were baptized by the wrong priest, that you might not be legally baptized and you might like miss out an entrance in heaven because like the bureaucracy was wrong.
Yeah. That's a structural issue, like from the get-go.
Yes.
It's obviously not right.
Exactly. And in my mind, such a thing should not exist in Christianity. And that doesn't mean that, like, you know, I mean that shamans or whatever should be able to, like, you know, receive communion with the Pope. I mean, I literally don't give a fuck. Like, I'm like agnostic about that. But what I'm trying to say is like, it does not make sense that you need to move through a bureaucracy to be saved by God. I find it very, very alienating. And, you know, again, I don't necessarily think I'm stating those words right when I describe Catholicism, but that's my entire point. Like, I do not understand why you have to learn this like elaborate vocabulary of signs and symbols and hierarchy in order to like actively participate in the faith.
I agree.
This is why I am a Lutheran, and that's why we fucking sailed across the ocean. Just kidding. I have no ancestors tied to the Mayflower. But anyways.
But you will have descendants tied to the Mayflower too.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. The Padre Pio movie was directed by Abel Ferrara.
That's right. It's an Abel Ferrara movie.
It's already been released and got not very good reviews.
Well, sure.
But, you know. And there is a Padre Pio TV that is broadcast from his hometown. And I am watching the live stream of it right now. And it is a static shot of what looks to be the body of Padre Pio in his see-through casket or whatever the hell they do with Catholic people. Yeah.
Okay, this part about Catholicism is really cool, I will say.
Yeah, well, you love the patron saint of the internet, don't you? This is what's going on in Padre. This is live, by the way. This is actually running.
That's so awesome. Okay, I take back everything I said about Catholicism. They will just straight up like show a live feed of a dead saint on their television. Protestants could never. I am immediately converting to Catholicism. I wish Catholicism was like Islam. I could just say the Shahada on air right now. And since the two of you were witnesses, that I would be officially like Catholic.
This is what's playing. Wow. This is the audio from the live stream. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, this is cool. This is chill. I could totally watch a live feed of this while there was some delicate Latin choral music playing on top of it.
That I have to go to buffstreams.app to watch the Padre Pio illegal stream.
Yeah. I have to
can't hear
download
it.
the
that's one for the sports nuts out there. I'm not playing it right now.
that one went over my head. I have to download the Roku channel.
Yeah, use a VPN before you go to, so your work doesn't know.
To Italy, so your work doesn't know that you're watching the Padre Pio feed, the live Padre Pio feed on the clock. The Three Secrets of Fatima is genuinely fucking insane. I'm sorry. Like the fact that like the Virgin Mary appeared to 3 shepherd children.
Yeah.
And do you know that there was a plane hijacking in the 60s or 70s where a hijacker got on a plane? It was before the plane had taken off.
Yeah.
It was holding everyone hostages, and his demand was that the Catholic Church revealed the third secret of Fatima.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's cool. I only heard about the Polish plane hijacking where they got pulled over on the freeway.
Yeah. Well, the Australian monk who hijacked the Irish plane to demand the Pope. This was in 1981. 1981. Apparently, it was an Australian priest hijacked an Irish plane. Aer Lingus Flight 164. Don't ask me about that. Was diverted to France after it was hijacked by an Australian former monk named Larry Downey. Oh, it was in flight. It was about 5 minutes from Heathrow Airport when the passenger went into the cabin toilet, doused himself with petrol, and found his way into the cockpit holding a lighter and making threats unless he was taken to Iran.
Whoa.
That's so nuts.
He demanded that the publication of the third secret of Fatima by then Pope John Paul II.
I love how the airplane used to just be like a city bus.
Yeah. You can just go up and like
get on it and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I know.
People are like, oh, TSA, bad. I mean, I get the problem with no-fly lists and racial profiling and everything.
Sure.
Yeah. And there being like a weird power dynamic at every step of the way getting through the airport and out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
it's like the Catholic Church.
I do think that if without those problems, that the airplane should have a little more security than, you just walk up and buy a ticket and get on the plane within 5 minutes.
And start smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. And like you can have a loaded gun on the plane and stuff. I do think it should be a little more secure than the bus stop.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I think we can compromise on that. And you shouldn't be able to just go into the cockpit.
Yeah, that's also, I think, a good.
They used to like
thing.
not lock the door or something. I don't really understand how.
I mean,
they're
I feel like
always in the cockpit.
I feel like I think as a kid, I don't know if this is a false memory or not, but like, you used to be able, if you were a kid, you should just go say hi to the pilots and they would give you the little wings.
Yeah, the flight attendants would like take you in.
Yeah. That's pretty fun.
That's very fun.
Yeah.
Now you can't because the Catholic Church never released the third secret of Fatima.
Yeah, the third secret of Fatima, why they don't just make the plane out of the black box.
The Black Pope has something to say about that.
The black box Pope.
The Black
Why don't they
Box
just make the
Black
Pope
box.
mobile out of the black box?
Well, anything else to say about Elijah's secret, team?
Nah, I've been getting kind of deep into the Shin Megami Tensei video games, and this was kind of it's fun to delve into Catholicism. It's crazy. I've never actually said that word out loud before. It's fun to get into religious conspiracies and hierarchy and
It is.
demonology and rankings and stuff.
I think
It's fun.
I think I would like Catholicism more if it wasn't if it wasn't about such matters as like the human soul, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I know that to some
Yeah.
people, this entire like concept is like LARPing and silly and like basically like Dungeons and Dragons. But
Yeah.
as a practicing Christian myself, I do believe in some of the Christian constructs of the soul and salvation and things like that. And I don't know. My understanding is like, you know how it takes you like 2 hours to learn how to play like fucking, Warhammer or whatever. It's like, I just don't think religion should be like that.
Yeah.
I think we need a medium degree of security, similar to what you were saying about the planes earlier.
Right. It would be nice if it didn't horribly traumatize every person who was involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Catholicism, the BPD art hoe of religions.
Yeah. Maybe.
Like you wanna learn more.
Yeah,
But then you walk away horribly traumatized.
Well, should we rate Elijah's secret? Oh,
We
sorry, what were you gonna
should.
say,
I just
Scott?
want to mention one interaction I really enjoyed. It was when Chris Holmes' child says, "Will mommy go to heaven?" And he pauses and says, "Let's just keep praying for mommy."
Will mommy go to heaven?
Let's just keep praying for mommy, okay?
That was awesome.
What a thing to tell your small child.
Yeah, let's just keep praying for mommy.
I picture that interaction, but with like a Santa Claus believer and a Santa Claus denier parents.
I liked how we were
Will
talking
mommy
about.
be getting presents for Christmas? Let's just leave some milk and cookies out for mommy, okay?
I liked how we talked yesterday about Eagles fans booing Santa Claus. That was the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Super Bowl was yesterday.
Hey, they
All-
don't respect him after the second North Pole conference or
the second North Pole Conference. Also, shout out. I hope Tim Che is doing well. I know it was his least favorite holiday of the year yesterday.
That's right.
I know.
Oh my God.
Super Bowl.
It doesn't start until that. You should be good and done with church by the time
By 3 p.m.?
Super Bowl Pacific Standard Time.
That's
mind
true.
You.
That's 3
Well, you
p.m.
got to get to the
Pacific.
grocery store in time. I don't know.
Right.
And
can go to
I
the
can
9
only
a.m.
imagine what he's
service.
thinking too. So like last week, y'all talked about this on the pod last week. The Grammys, Sam Smith in a red and devil horns. And then this week for the Super Bowl, Rihanna's wearing red.
I mean,
With the
I
baby
did see,
bump
to be
of
fair.
Who's the baby? The Antichrist.
Who is the baby?
I don't
That's
know.
true.
Her
Could
last
be.
album was Anti. The next one might be Christ.
Oh no, that's actually a really good point. You should post that because I actually saw some people screenshotting takes of people writing. It wasn't even that satanic, like Christians being like satisfied with the level of satanic that it was. It was like
Not so bad.
yeah, not so bad this time around.
That'd be awesome to be that kind of person and like watch it and just step away being like, wasn't so bad.
Wasn't so bad.
Like somehow reach the same opinion as like the general public of being like, it wasn't so bad.
Right.
Pretty good performance.
But your metric is like,
but you're like,
how
well,
satanic
it wasn't so bad.
was.
Not that satanic.
No. All right, we should rate this thing and get out of here. What do you say?
Yeah.
Boys, what is the official Boys Bible Study rating of Elijah's Secrets?
I'm going to give it 3 out of 3 Secrets of Fatima.
Oof.
Yeah. Each
Fatima.
one more secretive than another word I've never said out loud. Each more secretive than the last.
Yeah. Well, doesn't get better than that. 3 out of 3 Secrets of Fatima.
Whew. I'm going to have to give this 5 out of 5 lost conspiracy tapes that have been duped a couple of times on VHS. I really liked the integration of that footage in this movie. It really felt like it was from the heart of like, this is something that moved me to understand the Jesuit situation better. Like when you first see like the Phil Schneider tapes or something like that with like about alien abduction or something. And you're like, wait a minute, is this what's going on here? That was pretty cool. I also want to give a shout out to soundbible.com/royalty-frees-sounds-1.html. Apparently the movie could not have been what the movie was without that.
One of my favorite websites, honestly. That's awesome.
But yeah, 5 out of 5 Jesuit conspiracy tapes. Great movie. Perfect movie. Gonna watch it again. Loved it.
Very, very cool. As for myself, I loved this movie. It definitely was a new Christian party movie that you can show your friends and have a great time. Not a downer at all. Kept you up. Loved that. Christian genre could use way more of that. I'm going to have to give this 75 out of 75 years old elite service members of the United States military because we saw some old ass people in there. What war did you serve in? World War I? Come on. But very happy these men are immediately abandoning all of their morals to defect to the Jesuit army. That is, of course, the secret arm of the Vatican to take over the world. Love these Jesuits. If this is your first time here and you want to go back on everything the church has taught you in order to become the secret militaristic arm of Boys Bible Study, please go to boysbiblestudy.com to subscribe to our feed, get all our free episodes. And if you really want to delve into the secret society where you can do things such as learn how to levitate yourself, others, and various objects, please go to patreon.com/boysbiblestudy, where your subscription of $5 or more per month will get you access to bonus episodes, at least 2 every month. And special shout out to our initiated masters who have, we've taught them the latest technology of the realm of Satanism at our $20 tier, the patron saints, Nicole, Marissa, Jeff, Jane, Kara, and Rhett. Thank you all so much. Lastly, our outro music is Oh My God by Mary. So from all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-hosts, Scott, and Julian, the 3 secrets of podcasting, we would like to say, peace be with you.
And also with you. I don't know how that goes sound.
I don't know either.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when you enter me. Every day